Everything should be good to go, Nick.
We're live?
I believe we are, in fact, live. Yes, indeed.
Hello, everybody. I have missed you all. I have come back to the lands of Texas, and I bring to you Death Watch while Mr. Siegs paints a devilfish. What a great day.
This is important stuff.
This is important stuff. Siegs, why are you painting a devilfish? No one cares.
I'm going to beat everybody in this house with a towel. That's what's going to happen.
You're setting yourself on a goal. I am like so happy with 40K right now. I'm excited about my Death Watch army that finally showed up. I think I'm going to play Sisters through a tournament coming up soon. I just rocked it out with Death Guard. Very happy with that one. I'm feeling good. Like a lot of my armies are just strong and solid, and I'm really coming to grips with how to use them properly. Like we are in great shape right now. Aren't you saying that, Siegs? Great shape.
Great shape. Fantastic shape. Superb shape.
Superb shape. I even have lunch. Nick
is a shape.
I am a shape. We're working. We got a workout bench. I'm going to stop being a pizza blob. This is great stuff.
Well, let's not get too ambitious just yet. The pizza blob, pizza blob is so lovable, though.
That's Mark.
Mark is the ice cream blob.
We haven't had ice cream in a while.
Ice cream night?
Could be. Wouldn't be opposed. Pizza blob?
Health is an amorphous concept.
Amorphous?
In the pizza circles.
Is it a cosmetic concept? You liked that word yesterday?
No, I use that word all the time.
Well, I used it, and that's what matters.
How's it going, everybody? We've got our friend Kyle asking, Nick, what was your favorite match of the GT?
Hold on, before we do that, why is there a burst king on the screen? I'm building Death Watch. There should be no burst king.
There's Elder. You're going to play Seer Council
Whatever.
Tomorrow, but also there's a Riptide killing it. That was a lot of fun.
You're banned from picking the images here.
I'm the only one who knows how to do them.
I'm going to start picking.
All right.
Should be some Death Watch stuff.
I'll get the Death Watch stuff.
Get the Death Watch.
All right. I put one in. I preloaded an image for Death Watch.
And someone asked me a question while I was ranting.
Yeah, here's my Death Watch image.
No, look at that. No, that's Tao. Oh my god.
It's Death Watch though, but they're getting killed by the Tao.
You're done.
Farsight Enclaves, baby. I see. I was prepared for that.
You're off the stream team.
Nick, what was your favorite match of the GT?
I had a lot of great matches. This like reinvigorated me. I'm ready to roll. Let's see. Round one was like just a nice rude awakening. I kind of went in there thinking like, all right, round one, have 80-person tournament. As long as I don't get like a tough named person, it shouldn't be too bad. Round one seal, it's a real thing. I didn't get a round one seal. I got a round one wake up call. Played this guy Josh, really awesome Blood Angel army. He killed the Demon Prince turn one because I was just being disrespectful out there, and I was like, you know what, time to stop sucking, and then I did. So that was a good memory. That was a good first round thing. Round two, I played my buddy David. I played David before, and he always comes with the weirdest Imperium list. Like he and John be best friends. It was like salamanders and guard. It alpha struck you off table. And round one, he was telling me he took cut off the head. The secondary where you get sliding scale worth of points based on when you kill the enemy warlord. He got the full score by killing the warlord on turn one. And not like the warlord suicide into him like Magnus. It's like a smash captain in a Blood Angel army buried amongst sanguinary guard in their deployment zone. David was just like, I'm going to kill it. And he did, because that's what his army does. So that would have been a very, very challenging match. But I had a magic bunker, because the terrain there was something. And my magic bunker basically made David's army useless, because he couldn't see me with all this very, very, very powerful shooting that gets delivered 5 inches onto your doorstep on turn one. And normally, just your basic terrain will cover off a shooting army. But David created a very alpha strike mobile shooting army, which kind of gets around most terrain. But magic bunkers were magical. In round three, I played Blair, who's one of our war members. What a nice game that was. She's relatively new and inexperienced when it comes to sisters, so I gave her a lot of coaching during that game, which was awesome. I love helping my opponents out when I can there. Then day two, things got real. As you can imagine, we were kind of in the top cut of the tournament. There's only so many undefeateds left. I played 7 Dreadnoughts. This was honestly one of my more favorite games of the weekend because 7 Dreadnoughts was something I had never considered conceptually when figuring out, all right, what do you have to be? You have to be Dark Angels and White Scars and Eldar and Chaos, all these armies. 7 Custodians Dreadnoughts did not enter the equation of my brain. So really, I was brainstorming the night before the match. I was at the tournament. I was at a restaurant eating dinner with all my bros, and I really was just like, how the hell do I beat this army? And like they were like, just kill it. I was like, no, it's not that simple, because it's not. I literally can't kill these stupid dreadnoughts. Throughout the whole game, I killed 3, which doesn't sound bad, but remember there were 7. So I had to come up with a very interesting plan that involved not killing the dreadnoughts, which easier said than done, but it did work out for me really well. So happy with that one. Then I played his friend who drove 10 hours with Will Albiles in his Tau army, and thankfully I practiced against Siegs and talked to Siegs about the matchup. So didn't get caught too off guard there, and just played tight. That was a rough one because I really got the overall strategy wrong. I thought he would shoot me. Instead, he ran at me. And I wish I saw that coming, because I didn't prepare for him running at me during deployment. And when you get to playing along with Death Guard, it's very hard to come back from that, because it's like you move 4 or 5 inches. Like, you can't fix it. You're just stuck. So I'm glad I was able to dig myself out of those holes, the Dreadnoughts and Tau. And then Sean put me in my place in the finals, unfortunately. So Sean and I have traded blows over the years. I have no idea what our overall win record into each other is. Like, I've definitely beaten him at some real big tournaments in the finals. He's done the same to me. So just another one of those games where 2 great players play each other. I wish I put up a better showing, because I got both Dreadnoughts killed on turn 1, which is something that's never happened to me in my life, and hopefully it'll never happen again. But it just goes to show you, like, the smallest little mistakes at that level can be incredibly punishing. So not my finest showing, but I'm really proud of the overall weekend. I think I put up a good show and really enjoyed the Death Guard. But you know what? I am tired of moving 4 inches, and I want something a little bit faster. Eldar. I got Harlequins lined up yesterday. I'm playing Seer Council tomorrow. Dark Eldar's around the corner. It's a good time to be an elf.
Let's see. Thoughts on the new armies of renown? Seems all right from the previews with some serious restrictions. Yeah, honestly, I think they found the place where these are an interesting set of rules, where if you want to build a particularly fluffy style list based around that concept, you can do it. But it doesn't seem like they're going to be meta dominant, honestly, based on the restrictions.
What you talking about?
The new regiments of renown that were previewed today on G-Dubs.
I don't know about these regiments.
Death Guard for AdMech.
I don't know how renowned they truly are, to be honest. How renowned do you think they are?
I mean,
pretty renowned?
They're pretty renowned. One of them is Typhus's.
Typhus!
So, nobody in Death Guard is more famous than Typhus.
Maybe Mark.
Maybe Mark. Well, Mark is a great and clean one.
It's pretty famous.
In the bastion of Nurgle, Mark is up there. He is a favored son of Nurgle. How do you guys feel about Death Guard soup builds?
I've never really explored it. I was actually just on a coaching client call right before this paint stream, and we were talking about it. It's like all of our artwork coaches, myself included, have been so focused on just learning what Death Guard do and which way to fine-tune that army and all that, and that we kind of put the idea of Death Guard soup on hold because it's just so overwhelming. The ideas that could be sprung from when you start souping in with chaos. But now that I've really come to grips with my Death Guard, I know what they do, I know how to play them, I know my style with them, I know what units I like. Not to say it's the only way to run them, but now I think is the time we can start to fine-tune and then start exploring new options with the other types of Death Guard and soup options. I know Mark is doing Death Guard and Noise Marines, Death Guard Emperor's Children, and that's a very Mark build, but it's been working for him very well. TJ, I think, has been doing some Magnus Morty stuff, too.
On the 7th edition vibes, detachments are back, baby. Hunter Cadre, Decurion, Riptide Wing.
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
I don't think so.
Based on
the power restrictions that they put on there, like there's serious trade-offs for going for these armies of renown. Now, maybe they'll do more in the future, and then a broken one will slip in. Very possible. But for now, I think what they previewed so far wasn't crazy.
So how do these work, Steve? I haven't actually looked at them.
They have usually a set of 3 or 4 restrictions. So, for instance, the Death Guard one, you can't have any vehicles in there in your Death Guard list, and you have to be Harbingers.
What do you gain? Like I don't know what
You gain
anything
access
else
to a new
does.
psychic tree. You get access to particular rules. Like if you put things in strategic reserve, they're actually in deep strike now.
Oh, neat.
But you have to make a serious trade-off. No
Yeah.
contemptors, no
Right.
plague callers, and you have to be harbingers and not the other.
Deep
Play
striking
companies.
poxwalkers, though.
Yeah, like it could be interesting. The AdMech one, you can't have any Skatari units, which is some of their best units, the bombers and the the ponies. So you're losing that. But
And the snipers that kill demon princes.
the snipers that killed the Transuranic Arquebus, Nick,
The Transuranic Archivist.
respect the name.
Not,
Respect
I'd
the
rather
name.
not.
Also, that they snipe every orc character over the course of a game.
Or characters, demon princes, doesn't matter what you are.
Did your 7 Dreadnought opponent pick Assassinate? If so, could another secondary choice have been better?
Yeah, he did pick Assassinate. And honestly, I think that's a large part of why I won, because it really let me double down on the fact that I chose While We Stand. And it's like, okay, I can just play super defensive, rob him of 15 points. He scored 3 on it, so rob him of 12 points. And keep my 15 points safe, creating a 30-point swing. That's really what my whole strategy was based around. Now, my Death Guard army is designed not to give any secondaries. Assassinate does legally give up for a full, but it
You're tabling
you're tabling me. So he chose engage on all fronts. Solid choice. He chose scramblers. Solid choice. Those are, that's what your army's going to do. After that, I'm not sure. He could. It's tough to choose against me, and custodians don't really have codex-specific options. So I don't agree with the assassinate play, but like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place at a certain point.
Did he have a random Inquisitor or anything?
No.
No secondary.
No secondaries.
That's why you see people build that Inquisitor.
Yeah, for sure.
Gives you options.
I don't personally like taking in the Inquisitor, but it would give you options for secondaries when those exact situations arise, for sure.
I think the day 1 DLC for 40k and the Armies of the Round is silly. Why aren't they putting it into the Codex? They just had to put it into the Codex and no one would have complained. They're a business trying to make money, I guess is the bottom line. But I agree. I would like a Codex to have all of the relevant rules for an edition. That's the ideal. Not that I'm against campaign books, but if you're adding core match play rules, I'd rather it be in the Codex.
Yeah, would be nice. Look at these Death Watch.
Nick is certainly not the type of person to want to carry around, 3-4 different books.
Why is it Nick specifically?
Because it's books. I would carry around 3 or 4 specific books. I don't mind.
You're saying that I'm illiterate.
No, not illiterate. Just reading agnostic.
Reading agnostic. That's a great way to put it. Maybe more like ambivalent. I don't think agnostic was the right word. Look at me, correcting Sieg's vocabulary. And Sieg says he's the reader.
Agnostic. You don't have a true belief in it. You don't believe in reading.
That's not agnostic.
Yeah,
that's more atheist. Agnostic.
No.
Agnostic is you believe in something, it's just not defined. It's your own personal code. I believe that reading is a concept.
It's a concept.
It's a concept. There's I even know how to do it.
roughly.
Mike Brett recommended a book for me the other day. It's like, oh, great.
And you were like, I'm getting right on it. I'm gonna get in I have a whole library in my bedroom.
I have a lot of books that people recommended. I should read them.
You have a list.
I have a list. I do.
What do you think about Drukari wounding everything on 2s after hitting twice with the new Serpent Kiss?
I think that's super cool, but I don't know if it's actually going to be the direction you build your army. It might be, but that remains to be seen because it's basically a chapter tactic and like a Drukari obsession rather. So, while it's a powerful one, poison getting bonuses is quite a worthy chapter tactic. I need to see what the other ones offer before I can say this is just what Drukari look like. Like, wounding on 2s is awesome, but like how hard do I have to work to get it? And then what's my opportunity cost for getting it? And then also like it doesn't work against vehicles, presumably. And 2-up armor saves are everywhere. So like making Space Marines take 2-up armor saves doesn't actually get you
Even
anywhere.
just cover.
Yeah.
Cover's everywhere because terrain's so prevalent.
Mm-hmm. So I'd have to see the other rules too. but it's a good start. I was very happy with the previews I saw yesterday.
It's good that there are going to be hopefully other options for. It's not just like 2 or 3 of your traits are good and everything else is awful.
I know I'm sitting here building a Death Watch army, but I really am an Elfie player too. So I'm very excited about Dark Eldar coming out.
But also Marines. If you're not
I mean,
excited
Death Watch are just jank tanks. I love the jank. I'm here for it. I have such a cool Death Watch concept. I need to put it on board.
just get some reps in with it.
Get some reps in it.
Your podcast about Necron Army was amazing to listen to. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. That was a wonderful episode. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Nick and breaking it down with my coaching client, who is still having a lot of success in that Greek Hammer TTS League right now.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was one of our best podcasts.
You know what I'm going to do, Siegs? I'm going to give everyone in my Death Watch army a not helmet. And you and John are going to hate me for it.
Oh, I'm not painting them, so John will hate you.
That's great. John's not painting them either. He thinks he's painting them.
You're painting them?
The Death Watch, they're black. They're so easy.
Well, now you have to paint heads and not helmets.
Those are easy.
Okay. Nick's also going to freehand.
I'm going to freehand.
He's going to freehand the Madonna on there.
Why does everyone have to be so rude?
Super excited to see you playing Soaring Spite again, Nick. I'm going to have to hire you to look at my list because it's very similar to the one you played last stream.
Very exciting. Now, I think the Eldar was actually what got me into trouble last stream. But Soaring Spite, beautiful. Love that one. So I think the real move for my Harlequin list are just going to be get more boats, get more troops, and get it moving. Like that's the bread and butter. That's what wins you the game. Just take max of those and then some bikes and just
More troop units.
more troops, more transports. Well, that don't need to be fancy. You got 2 units in that codex. Use them both.
Luckily, the characters are actually good.
Yeah. Still my troop master. He's supposed to be good.
He's supposed to be good, and then you send him into the worst
I
situation.
always get him killed for nothing.
Why is he going into the random command part? This doesn't need to happen.
No. But it did.
But it did. He did 3 damage. With the 2 mortals.
The other thought I had for these heads was I was thinking about getting those Green Knight Terminator heads because yours looked really cool with them.
Yeah, right? That was...
But I don't have them.
Yeah, I don't have any, a lot of extras.
So I was thinking about holding off on the assembly line here, maybe eBaying some heads or seeing what I can do. I should look into that.
The Grey Knight kit comes with, because the cool thing about the Grey Knight Terminator kit is it's also for Paladins, so it comes with 5 Paladin helmets and the Terminator helmets. You can actually get quite a few of them.
Oh. So how don't you have extras?
Because I use them on my Death Watch.
Oh, Zeus thinks he's got Death Watch. He's got nothing.
So this weekend, Seek said something to me regarding the separation between, the top players in the world, everybody else. How would you guys describe the tiers of players and how you move up it?
That's hard.
Where would you say,
I don't even know where to start with the articulation of this question. I know what you're trying to ask, and I agree that it exists. There's tiers within players, but finding the characteristics, that's I gotta think on this. What do you think, Seeks?
No, I think there's back in the last full season that we had, real season, 2019, for the ITC, it was probably there's 10, 20 players that could take games off you on any given moment, right?
Yeah, probably.
And then almost every other game was relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
There is a skill difference, and that comes down to the amount of preparation, the reps that you get with a list, how good your practice partners are. 'Cause sometimes people live in areas where they don't get amazing practice because there's not a lot of people. They just beat people regardless of what they're going to run.
Yeah,
pretty much. So, there's a lot of factors that go into that.
I have no idea what to do with this kit.
What is your guy? And then for the second part of your question, how do you break into that top tier? And you saw, I came out of nowhere and was just winning all sorts of events that are really, really difficult to win, 9, 10 round events. It came down to the prep work, the amount of reps. I was playing pretty much week in, week out, going to tournaments almost every week.
Yeah.
I was talking to all different top players. I knew all the potential lists that were going to show up, did a lot of research on BCP, see what people are running. Random RTTs, Nick Nanavati shows up to a random RTT in a weekend, testing out a list. I know that list.
Why?
That's the type of research that I did.
Why did you stalk me?
Not just you. Well, not really you.
You didn't stop.
Because you actually played this. You were pretty consistent. Once you found a list, you could stuff
that's true.
in that
True.
mold.
Uh-huh.
But some people just swap on and off.
Well, next week, I think I'm going to swap on and off.
Ooh, swapping.
Swapping.
Nick. Nick's also the type of coach who's like consistent. You want to get the reps with the list, and then he's like, "I'm going to just play this army."
I get
Nick's
it.
going to bring Tau.
I'm not bringing time.
$5 super chat from Clown Mode. Nick, what are your top 3 pre-Socratic philosophers and why? Wonderful question from Clown Mode. Thank you so much.
It's so easy.
Pre-Socratic.
We got Sun Tzu. I will call him a philosopher. Why? Because he wrote The Art of War, and he's pre-Socrates. You don't even know what that means. Pre-Socratic. Way to try to overconvolute the issue with your acronyms. But yeah, dude wrote Art of War. My business is called Art of War. Obviously, that dude.
Paying homage.
I don't know who that is, but that's not important. So, paying homage. I misunderstood you all the time. I really misunderstood.
And that's the
you.
second pre-Socratic.
Paying homage.
Paying homage.
No, I said it all quickly. The words slid together. It didn't. You understand? So Sun Tzu. Who else we got? I got this. Zeus. Zeus is like a god, right? And the Greeks, excellent philosopher. Socrates.
He's not known for philosophy.
But Zeus, he's the guy.
At least Athena or Apollo. Come on.
I studied Latin for years. Okay,
I bet you did.
I did.
You did.
Athena.
Whereas
Apollo.
I actually studied Latin.
I did in middle school. We took Latin for 2 years. I had a choice: Latin, French, or Spanish. I did Latin. Why? Because it would help me with ICTs. It did not, but that was the thought. So Zeus, and you can't tell me he's not real.
But he's not a philosopher.
How do you know? Did you know the man?
He's a
personally?
god that turns himself into swans to go mate with women. That's the type of god that Zeus is.
Sounds like a good philosophy to me.
It doesn't.
All right, what else we got? There's got to be some more.
There's gotta
be some more. I don't want to just keep pulling from the Asian philosophers because those are the ones that I know off the top of my head. So I'm trying to get creative. See, the problem is pre-Socratarian philosophy was not well recorded. So it's hard to, they don't make YouTube videos on that. And that's where the education comes from.
Our modern conception of philosophy is based around European concept and
That's true.
ideas.
Like we're over here in America.
We've got to decolonize philosophy. That's what this channel is about.
We got to decolonize the whole world. I mean, like I live over here in the Western Hemisphere. I don't know anything that's going on in the Eastern Hemisphere. Antarctica. There's probably the best philosopher in the world in Antarctica at the time. I had no idea. He's riding penguins. That's what it is. The guy here rides penguins. Nemo. Finding Nemo from Dora or from the movie. Nemo. Nemo's a great philosopher.
All right, Nick can think of one pre-Socratic.
I could have said Confucius. I could have said more than just Sun Tzu, but I didn't because I wanted to get creative.
All right, thank you so much for that super chat, Clown. What is your guys' thoughts on leaning heavier on Ravenwing rather than Deathwing? Super mobile offset bikes, really consistent shooting. I know John wants to try out a list like that. He definitely wants to run the Flyers as well, but he's just getting the models. I know he ordered more bikes, so hopefully we'll see that on stream soon.
Do you think I should give these guys storm shields? Okay.
I would hope so.
Like all of them? I don't
Not
know.
all
There's
of them.
so many options.
Aren't you have some with frag cannons, some with
Man, my list
hammers?
changes 87 times. I don't play the list. That's why I don't actually know. I'm sitting here. I can't just swap the arms off like I can when I'm list writing.
Why don't you just do some rough? Don't put the arms on. Don't put the helmets on. Just do some rough practice games and figure out what options you want.
It's a great idea. We're gonna put these sprues back.
Just build the bodies
We're
and
gonna build the bodies.
Yep. Look at that. That's big brain.
Let's look at seeds.
I'm saving Nick from building. Like, this is everything you want.
Everything I want. I get to walk around now, get the rest of the boxes. I can take a lap.
Eventually, you'll get John to build one. Or magnetize on the Death Watch.
That's the truth of the matter.
Nick, can you... Bill, if you want to ask that question, that's a super chat question.
What was the question?
He wants you to explain the concepts behind Moore's Law. And of course, Nick is an expert on Moore's Law, but that's definitely a super chat question.
That's a super chat question.
Nick, what are your plans for Death Watch? Do you have a direction in mind?
I do. I played a few games with Death Watch. I think like 3, maybe 2 or 3. and middling success. I beat Siegs' AdMech pretty solidly, and I really liked that army, but then I lost to Mark's Slanish Demons, partly due to my own uh, carelessness during that game. It was from the war, and we played a while back. But I think the directions I've chosen with Death Guard in those games were a little off. They were based on let me create these super powerful kill teams and then combat squad them or not, and then put Feel No Pain on them and just use these really powerful units. And that's a really intuitive way to build Death Watch because you have so many options. But I think the real trick to Death Watch is the fact that their units are already better than every other Spaceman unit. Like the fact that your stock troop is a veteran or an intercessor, not intercessor, an aggressor or a plasma scepter. Those are all troops. So just take lots of units, be very MSU, be very OBSEC, fly around the table, just doing what you do. Don't put too many points into 5 Marine bodies because at the end of the day, 5 Marine bodies die like the same way any 5 Marine bodies die. So just having more of them and their offensive capabilities better, that's the idea. I'm thinking of like lots of eliminators actually because they move really well. I like units that move in my Death Watch army. It's all movement-based army is what I'm thinking. So that's my theory. Kind of hard to go further than that because I haven't played too many games, but that's my approach. Do we get another super chat, Siegs? This is about Moore's Law?
We did indeed, and I cannot wait for it. We've got Bill Gross with $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Bill. Nick, can you please explain the concept behind Moore's Law?
Appreciate you, Bill. I'm going to do my best here. So, John Moore is an Art of War war room member. I believe he's actually one of John Lennon's clients. Now, his last name is Moore. Now, to my knowledge, he doesn't write laws, but because John Moore and John Lennon are intertwined, as I just kind of double, we got the John power. So, if you think about it, back in the old days, the pre-Socratic days, those were Johns were referred to as toilets. So, John Moore's Law is all based on the sanitation of toilets. And really, this is a people's referendum about sanitation.
People's referendum.
People's referendum.
Nick is just pulling buzzwords. He's like, he saw a news article that had people's referendum. He's like, let's just call that in the brain.
That's what it is.
Throw that out in the 40K chat.
Exactly. This is the people's referendum about toilets, sanitation. You wouldn't know because you're a robot. Not the robots referendum. That's an alliteration.
All right, we got a super chat for me. $5 super chat from Lyle Dixon. Siegs, what are your top 5 events that shaped or impacted the development of the historical French economy? This would be amazing for Nick to answer, but
it's a Siegs question.
Do you want to? If you give another $5, we can get Nick to answer first, and then I can give the real answers.
I think that's what we can do.
Because that's more fun.
While we're doing that, I'm going to get the rest of the Death Watch and prepare my answer. What's the question?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about answer.
Go get this Death Watch. Come on, Lyle. I'm going to pause on that for a sec, Lyle. Was debating on doing the coaching you guys offer. Who would be the best for a defensive mono craft worlds player? I think Nick Nanavati, can't go wrong with him. He's a defensive player by heart, loves the craft worlds, likes still having a couple speed elements in the defensive list, but his own play style for craft world is keeping resources alive and trading efficiently. So if that's your style, I would try and go for Nick. Otherwise, the next best I think would be either Brad Chester or Scary. I think Brad is much more on the aggressive and the firepower-based Eldar lists. Nick, would you do justice to a coaching client if they were interested in Mono Craft World's defensive playstyle?
That sounds like the only way I play Craft
That
Worlds.
sounds like Nick. All right, perfect. We got another $5 from Mr. Lyle Dixon for Nick to name. Here's the question. What are the top 5 events that shaped or impacted the development of the historical French economy?
So, just to break down what you're asking for. 5 events.
5 events.
That impacted
or shaped
the French economy through history.
Yes.
Okay. The pyramids of Giza, Egypt, they started it all. They developed the pyramids, the stars, the alignment. Honestly, it's a homing beacon for aliens. Like, the world wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the pyramids of Giza. So certainly there. That's the start of it all. Then we have Alexander the Great. He was great. Obviously, he impacted the French economy. That's why he was so great.
In what way?
That wasn't you asking for what the events were.
Do you know where Alexander?
I guess
the Great-
Alexander the Great and pyramids of Giza weren't events, so I will say the construction of the pyramids that let the aliens come to the Earth as the initial findings, and then Alexander
You
the
should
Great.
really fluff up your hair for this. Get it crazy.
No, my hair is beautiful. Alexander the Great, he did great things, and those great things were events. So those events, we're just going to lump them all into one big lump sum as a contributing factor. We have a lot of stuff. Attila the Hun, he conquered a lot of villages in Europe.
None of this has to do with French history.
France is in Europe. Their villages were
You know where France
conquered at points in history, I'm sure. The lands of the France were not impregnable. So certainly they were impacted, as per the question has asked, which certainly impacted their economy. And this is all history. I learned about this in history class, so done.
Did you?
Yes. What else?
Nick learned something in history. That's news to me.
Excuse me, Mr. Six. We're not done yet. We have more. I would say Marie Antoinette. Obviously, she's French. Just couldn't have this list without her.
What impact did
She
have on the
told the
French
people to eat cake, and people ran out to the bakeries and bought all this cake, and that's huge impacts on the economics of France throughout history. And then finally, we got the World Wars, because obviously, if you have the World Wars, the French people, they were involved. They're part of the world, so that's going to impact their economy, and that was an event.
Okay. So just take all that Nick just said, just throw that in the trash, take it out of your mind, because that's not anything related to French history. Marie Antoinette is the only thing close enough. But you never said let it be quick. Anyway.
What, didn't you?
No.
What did you say?
No, that's apocryphal. We've told you this like 7 different times. You keep bringing it up. You cannot let the cake go. Nick is obsessed with cake.
I like cake. Didn't you say let them eat cake, and that was the whole... Actually, though.
No.
That's
what people who don't know what happened say. And it just became popularized. So people like you who don't know it...
That's what I'm doing. I'm spreading rumors. Jacka out here.
All right, here's the actual answers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, the development of modern socialist government and policies in the 20th century. Right?
Yeah, centuries.
What is going on? Oh my god.
This is your super chat. Lyle's asked you.
Okay, so obviously the development of modern socialist policies in the 20th century. Then you're going to have, I would say, the Industrial Revolution, of course, and its impact on France's industries. French Revolution. Then I would say the development of the various stock companies in the 18th century.
Stockholm Syndrome, yes.
No.
That's when you fall in love with your captors. The French are all about love. That's the thing. And
France set up a bunch of various companies to try and improve the economics of the French imperial economy in both North America, India, and other parts of the world.
India, I'm from India, and you like France, no wonder.
And then the medieval development of the banking economy and banking institutions in France. Those are the top 5. How about that?
I like Miles better.
Aliens? Do you think Bellacore will smash the Bros list if he's not a Supreme Commander? Will join the Smash Bros if he's not Supreme Commander?
Totally good.
He could.
He might even replace a bro.
Yeah, it might be easier to access him, or maybe you want to go. Maybe he helps buff demons more, and you really want demons.
I hope so. I hope Bellacore's demon guy. That's his shtick.
But I definitely think he's going to be a Supreme Commander. Like just the size of the model.
Yeah, he
amount of
doesn't. He
roles
doesn't
he's
seem
getting.
like a Lord of Change kind of guy. He seems like
he's the dad.
kind of guy.
Yeah. I like how these paint streams just evolved to us asking Nick about historical events and economic outcomes. That's what he does best, though.
That's you don't
That's
pay me
his
for
bread and
coaching
butter.
services.
That's his bread and butter. That's what Art War's really about.
Real talk, though. I have attended some of the finest institutions. I have read the most best articles. I watched the finest of the documentaries. Honestly, I know it all. So if you don't
Nick is up
like
for a challenge.
if you don't like the answers I give, it's because you're uneducated. It's very simple.
Not as educated as Nick, apparently.
He
In
can't.
his own mind.
You can't. The things that go on in here, ask Mr. Siegs. He has no clue. It's above his level.
We got a $5 super chat from Mr. Weeb. Excellent job, Nick. Firm handshakes. Thank you so much, Mr. Weeb. And I hope you enjoyed those Tau games.
Appreciate you, Mr. Weeb. I had a great time massacring the Tau. Twice in 2 weeks. Twice in 1 week. It was a great week this past week. 2 different Tau players, 2 different states, 2 different dead Tau armies. Beautiful. Gotta love it. Mr. Weeb, you're awesome. Stay classy, San Diego.
With a movie reference.
Yeah. You know where that's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anchorman. I live for Seeks looks at Nick like he's a parent trying to keep a straight face with a child that can't stop himself from laughing. What is this, history class? No, don't accept this as history.
You don't have to.
Nick's version of history is
revisionist.
It's complete fabrication.
Like all history classes are revisionist. Yes, I am a student of history. I consolidate 6 inches in whatever direction I like.
I'm really thankful Nick knows as much as he does about 40K because I don't know what he's doing in life otherwise.
You know?
Moore's Law.
Moore's Law. Look, there was a point in life where I tried to be well-rounded and I tried to know things. That got me absolutely nowhere. And you know what I did do well? Play some Space Marines. And here we are.
Play some Broken Games Workshop.
Play some Broken Games Workshop stuff. That's what I'm good at. The rest of my skill sets don't really exist. This is all I got. Don't tell anybody. If you look at my resume, it just says Warhammer.
It says Warhammer and historical events and economic outcomes. That's what a business education at Rutgers gets you.
Absolutely.
How much do we have to donate to get Nick just to do a YouTube series where he reads The Art of War on stream?
I think we should just do that. I have the book somewhere. I've been meaning to read it for like 2 years now. We should just, reading time with Nick. Reading rainbows with Nick.
Reading Rainbow with Nick. I'm down to that. We can only understand where that would devolve to.
It wouldn't devolve anywhere. Why is it got to be devolutions?
Oh, it's going to go off the rails.
Which rails?
All of them. Oh. Monorails, metro rails, subways. Nick, how do you feel about the Demon Prince? Nick, how do you feel about the Demon Princes over the Lords and Contemptors with no Plagueburst Crawlers? How do you feel about that GT list?
Which list?
The one that you ran.
Oh, my list with double Contemptors and Dreadnoughts. I liked my list a lot. The only change I think I would make to my list, so my list was designed for the format, and the format was pretty open tables, so that's why I wanted no Plagueburst Crawlers. In a more terrain, line of sight blocky type of format, I think you do need some Plagueburst Crawler action. So in that format, I didn't mind having no Plagueburst Crawlers at all. In other formats, I definitely would mind not having Plagueburst Crawlers at all. I think a good mix is 2 Crawlers and 1 Dread. I think that's pretty healthy, but not in the format I was playing in. If you're playing in the format that I played in, the only change I would make in hindsight was just cutting the biology professor, the biologist Petrifier, because he sucked. He didn't do anything the entire weekend. And then put in that many points in Poxwalkers. That's 13 more Poxwalkers.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You gotta have the biology professor.
You gotta have the biology professor. Well, that's the thing. It's like, people are like, why don't you take more solo spawn? Why don't you take this or that? I'm like, dude, a Poxwalker is 5 points. Every time I take some, that's like 1 Terminator or 8 Poxwalkers. Like, what kind of conversation is this? So maybe that's also part of it. Maybe I just, the hard part is you can't just spam Poxwalkers because, they have rules against that or something. But Poxwalkers are the champions. They are the MVPs. Mortarians and Poxwalkers are the truth.
What's up, guys? What are you two working on? I am working on some Devilfish. Nick is trying to work on building some Death.
Not trying.
Attempting.
Not attempting.
Thinking about.
Succeeding.
Imagining.
Mastering.
Come on, Nick. We both know New Jersey education institutions give you about as much knowledge as the side of Cracker Jack pots.
I'm a genius. I don't know what you're all referring to. Jersey has taught me well. I could tell you all about Snooki.
I hope I get to play Nick on Saturday. Nick, where are you going on Saturday?
I'm going to... I don't remember the name of the tournament. But I'm going to Maryland to play in a tournament. And it's like a 60, 70 person GT. It's pretty YOLO. I bought my flight yesterday. But you know what? We're in a YOLO mood. We got vaccinated and we are going.
YOLO White Scars?
Yellow White Scars. Probably not. Maybe. Probably not. I have until Thursday to figure out my list. I'm flopping. Death Guard's obviously strong. I know them. I just ran them. But honestly, I get bored so easily. I get bored so easily.
I know it.
These things knows it.
In the middle of a conversation.
When do I get bored in the middle of a conversation?
Anytime, all the time.
You gotta be captivating. So yeah, maybe sisters. I'm playing my sisters in tournament in a minute. This Death Watch army will not be ready or practiced in time. I could YOLO White Scars. Quite the good YOLO White Scars are.
Got a $5 super chat from Mr. Weep. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely love the games. Richard, what did you think of the Tau list Nick played at Clutch City? I like the core. Obviously, I've been a big fan of Breachers for a long time. The Ion Tide I've run it in the past. It's very good. It's the best anti-tank that Tau has, in my opinion. In terms of the Guevara and the Ghost Keel, less convinced on that stuff. I honestly think they're trash. If honestly he took those 2 units out and put the 9 Airburst Crisis in the Farsight detachment, I think Nick would have been in a lot of trouble.
I think so.
They just pick up Poxwalkers like it's nothing.
Yeah. The Ion Tide was impressive though. Like you gotta run that guy again.
Yeah, I'll run him again. I hadn't been running him just because he does require Marker Light support.
Just full force to hit.
All right, I'm not John.
He's got 2 mana cores.
Two mana cores, 100% hit rate. I've never seen a
12 shots.
Have you seen a mana core miss?
No, it doesn't miss.
12 shots, all hit, all wounds. John, what?
I guess I'll stick with 10 shots.
I guess I'll stick with 10 shots. I'll re-roll this 3. Oh, it's a 6. Awesome.
His 2d6 shot weapons are just out of this world. Like the Night Flamers. Do you remember the Night Flamers?
Oh my god. They're 12 shots on
Shot
Overwatch. Nick, do you think if you had realized Naden had the ability to pick up your Dreads turn 1, you could have stopped it? And if so, you think you would have made a tangible difference?
We actually talked about it a lot in detail on part 2 of our podcast, which we recorded last night. That'll go up live, hopefully today, but perhaps tomorrow, with Sean. And yeah.
Where can they find that podcast?
They can find that podcast on our website, theartwar40k.com. I'm going to start uploading them on YouTube as well.
Yes, we will.
So we talked about it in great detail. I could have been super defensive with the Dreadnoughts. They could have been like back line behind wall. And the reason they weren't in the first place is because that spot would have given me no angles to ever shoot anything. And I was like, I'd rather use my Dreadnoughts than just keep them alive and not use them. So I got them a little precariously positioned. I thought they were safe. Like, don't get me wrong, this was a miscalculation. But I figured they would go down by turn 2 or turn 3, but they would at least take the firepower off the rest of my army for those turns, and I would get some value out of them before they go down. Or he ignores them and shoots Terminators, and the Dreadnoughts just keep pounding away for the entire game. Sean recognized his plan was to kill the Dreadnoughts ASAP and then run away from me because I moved 5 inches a turn and don't have any guns. So, in hindsight, I should have just threatened him with having guns the entire game and just, gentleman's agreement, in essence, of game theory to Sean hides his Reapers, I had my Dreadnoughts, and we just play 40k with Terminators versus Incubi and Raciers. That may have still lost me the game, but I think game theory says that's how I should play it. It's not how I played it, and we lost. So clearly we got to try something else, right?
Nick got answers from Siegs and John, but are you considering coming to the Detroit GT the next month?
Well, April and May are very quickly becoming littered with tournaments and traveling. So I'm also trying to go home to see my family who I haven't seen in 6 months and get a dog. So I would love to go to every tournament in the world. I'm sure you guys put on a great show. I'm sure everyone does. But there's got to be cuts and choices. So I don't know anything about the Detroit GT. Maybe it'll happen, but I need to know the dates and it needs to work out. So I'll put a solid 50-50 as of right now.
Nick's take on John's D. McCarran list.
Awesome. Amazing. Wouldn't change a point. It's freaking great.
No, take it to the GT in
Maryland. I thought about it. And I'm pretty adept at Tyranids. I played them on and off for like my entire 40k career. So I'm sure I could pick up and play the D. McCarrans really well. But I always do say there is a lot, like the difference between like someone who goes 4-1 at our level and someone who goes 5-0 at our level is like actually being practiced with your army versus not. Because like, let's look at the competition there. It's there's going to be some great players there. Most notably, I'd say the name to beat is probably TJ. If you look at the BCP roster, TJ Lanigan, and TJ's going to be playing some chaos thing, and his some chaos thing is going to be super well refined in practice. And I show up with John's team list, which is also fairly refined, but not well practiced on my end. He's going to get me on all those little micro things. And you saw it in my game with Sean on his Eldar thing versus my Death Guard thing. I've been playing Death Guard for about 2 months now, and I'm really coming to grips with them. I wouldn't say I've mastered the army, but I am really coming to grips with them. Sean has been playing Eldar for like 7,000 years, and he'd like it felt like he was like he knows his army and I didn't. That's exactly how that game felt. So I don't seek out putting myself in those positions, and knowing TJ will be there means I need to play something I'm relatively practiced with. So at this point, it really leaves me limited to like Sisters, the Harlequins, the Death Guard, of course, probably one of those three. I'm not eager beaver to play the Harlequins right now, just because I think they struggle versus the top meta armies, and honestly, I haven't been giving them as much attention. Like maybe if I really was practicing Harlequins, like a game a week for the past 6 months, I could probably take a new GT and feel confident versus anybody. But I haven't been. I played Harlequins like once a month for the past 6 months, which isn't nothing. Definitely know how to play Harlequins, but not that top level. So, like my True Master Charging Command Barge, that wouldn't happen if I had reps, and I don't have reps. So I think it's really Sisters or Death Guard. It's really just a matter of if I want to switch it up or if I want to stick the course. But I'm sick of moving forward. I will say that.
I was going to say that's John's question for you.
Oh, what's that?
If you're going to take his list, that's John in the chat.
Oh, if I played.
Lennon is asking you if you would take his Nids list to the Maryland.
Oh, I would.
And you gave this super serious, detailed answer.
I didn't realize it was John. I thought
that's what I was going to say.
Actually,
you went on this whole train.
Well, I gave you good information. You're welcome.
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
What do you think about the low Space Marine win rates reported by Goonhammer?
I think that there is a variety of people who play Space Marines, ranging in skill sets to brand new to John Lennon. So, obviously, John Lennon's win rate Space Marines like in the 90s, like for sure. Not everyone is John Lennon. And for every John Lennon at the 1%, there's also Billy McGuberson at the bottom 1%. And Billy McGuberson is totally an Ultramarine player. Like, there's no way Billy McGuberson's not an Ultramarine player. If there's really a person called Billy McGuberson.
He might be painting those Ultramarines green right now for Dark Angels.
Yeah, so, they're trashing the win rates just as much as John is elevating them. And that's just, the nature of it. So newer players do tend to gravitate towards Space Marines because that's the way GW marketing works. So with newer players entering the hobby, picking up Space Marines, going to tournaments, not doing well because they're new, guess what the rune percentages are going to do? Get tanked, because that's how averages work. That's what I think. What do you think, Mr. Siegs?
I mean, I agree with that. I think if you only took the top players and their win rates with Marines, it would be quite a bit higher.
Yeah. So these that's the thing with like a lot of Goonhammer articles is it's an aggregated average. And I was just on a phone call with the same client because he asked me a very similar question, and I told him, I was like, we are essentially the top 1% of this game, right? So we are going to have different opinions than the masses, the average of the game, because if we didn't, what separates us from the averages? Clearly something, and part of that is our opinions. So when Goonhammer puts out these articles that say all this stuff for win rates and percentages, and they're all really, really close to 40s and 50s, it makes perfect sense because most people are average. That's how average works. But, that doesn't mean it's empirically correct. It's just what data shows.
I mean, the big thing is skill actually just really does matter a lot in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth of the matter. Like
picking up just a list doesn't mean you're going to win a ton of games.
Yeah, like if you're looking at it from a scientific or business analytics perspective, it's just like the question you're asking is which armies win the most, and it's answered by dissecting which armies are played the most or which armies are played and what their win records are. But that's not encompassing to which armies are the best armies, or which players will do the best with those armies, or who will win tournaments, which are practical questions you want to answer, like who's going to win tournaments, what's going to win tournaments, does nothing to do with win rates of average armies. It has everything to do with who's playing what armies.
As Sean's army showed with Craft Worlds don't have the best win rate out there, but he had a dominating performance against almost everybody, getting like 9,500 points.
Mm-hmm. Like, Player skill matters far more than what army you're bringing at a certain point.
Florida Man 40K says this is actually Tim. Well, I thought you were Lennon, because Lennon likes to troll in the chat.
Wow. See, this is why I give proper answers and don't just troll back to my friends, because you never know who's actually on the other side of the internet.
Good question, Tim.
Good question, Tim.
Well answered by Nick.
Thank you. You know why I was well answered by Nick? Because I know everything, as demonstrated.
Another $5 super chat from Sleepy Gary. Thank you so much. Nick, if we were to add a Playboy crawler to your list from Texas, what would you change?
See,
It really is losing the Demon Prince, right?
I had so many variations though. I don't think I can lose both princes now. Having now played with two princes, I don't think I can go back.
Can't go back.
Can't go back. I'd lose a Dreadnought. I'd put in a Playboy crawler. That's 25 points different. Where the second one comes from, I don't really.
Just out of thin air.
It might be 3 Death Shrouds. It can't be 3 Death Shrouds. I don't
need
have
Pox
Pox
Walkers.
Walkers.
The Blight Lords.
Let me get back to you.
The Blight Lord. Biology Professor and the Blight Lords go away.
The whole thing.
Yeah. Were the Blight Lords actually that good? You just lost them in like every single game.
They were always stand.
So you can have a better while we stand now.
Kind of. Like, I lose them every game, but that dictates how the game is played, right? My opponent attacks them, which requires basically his army's commitment. It's kind of Blight Lords I'm not against, but I feel like one does not simply just cut the Blight Lords.
One does not simply.
One does not simply.
Proud of you, Nick.
All the movie quotes today.
Nick still does have, to remind everybody, Nick still does have to write 2 essays, one on the 2 Towers and one on Return of the King.
Keep me out of these essays.
You brought yourself into the essays.
You're bringing it up right now.
No, we got to get that written.
We don't gotta get into
The guy
it.
needs to see that.
We
important work.
tried reading to the chat. No one cared. You guys cared.
Everybody loved it.
Nobody cared. Nobody loved anything.
It was a beautiful disaster, as they love to say. What are your thoughts on whether taking Deceiver versus the regular Catan? I honestly don't think the Deceiver is that good. He needs a... he's -1 to hit, and he lets you put things into Strategic Reserve.
For free?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but just when the way Necrons play, where they want to be aggressive on board control early, it's just not needed.
Yeah, but I could see like outflanking random crypto thralls and things like that for free. That could be useful.
It's just you're spending the extra points for him.
He's more than a transcending.
He's still 350.
Oh
Transcendent.
no, that's bad.
Yeah.
I thought he was like.
No,
the same.
he's the same as the Void Dragon, 20 points cheaper than Nightbringer.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little bit different than a transcendent, but kind of comparable in power.
And his specific power also isn't particularly good. It's the worst one. How well does reps with a given faction hold up from edition to edition?
Pretty well.
At least with 8th, because it's building off the same baseline. I figure 7th to 8th was a bigger transition.
I would agree with that. It's really if the core mechanics of the game, or at least what your army does on paper, are the same. Like 8th edition Eldar versus 9th edition Eldar, maybe you take different units, maybe you put them on the table differently, but your units still do what they did before. Like, Farseer is the same tool it's always been. A unit of 3 Dark Reapers, I use that in 8th edition, so I'll use them on 9th. They do exactly the same thing they did before. So if you learn those skills and you didn't forget them, you'll know when and where to apply them. When the units change, that's when, reps matter less for the specific army.
What are your thoughts on 10-man Word Bears, Nurgle Possessed, and a Rhino and Poxbringer ready? Can get up to 6 damage. Is that Mark Berry in the chat?
How do you get to 6? Doesn't that cap out at 4? I don't know. Unnecessarily damaging. That's the answer to that. It's fine. Word Bears Possessed are solid. Putting on a Rhino is a very fine choice. Just drive the Rhino behind a wall and wait for someone to come within 20 inches of it if you want to pounce. I don't think they need to be damage 6. I think you're over-investing into a unit that's going to end up killing stuff that's going to die to damage 2. Now, as an option, it's not hard to bake that into your list. Leave some summoning points open, create a Poxbringer when you need to be damage 6 because you're fighting Knights and Mortarion. But as a list design philosophy, I wouldn't bring that to every army. I'd save points for summoning and probably summon Furies or Beast Nerdle in those cases. And then when Torian shows that we face, that's when we're going to damage 6 it up here. But I really thought they cap out damage 4. I have to look at that. Damage 6 possessed Siegs.
There's a lot of one-wound things in the game.
There's a lot of one-wound things.
A lot of one-wound screens.
You don't need to have one possess, one shot a rhino. Like, that sounds awesome, but why? What situation does that come into? Like, you're multi-charging 7 rhinos, and you want to kill all 7 in one turn? What? This doesn't happen.
So when you add more transports and bikes to your Quinn's list, you maybe see dropping the Shadow Seer. I run 6 transports full of troops, 5-man bike squad, 2 3-mans, and I often find spread out so thin the Shadow Seer is underutilized.
The Shadow Seer, I don't really think they do much. I think they are useful. When they're useful, they're incredibly useful. Like when you need Twilight Pathways to happen, you have it. When you need to be minus 6-inch range because you're fighting against 12-inch deep striking guns and they show up 9 inches away and I just can't shoot you, it's really, really important. You build your strategy around it. So because you need HQs and because it's so utility, you kind of just bring the Shadow Seer and you find how valuable it is based on your match. And in some games, it's not that valuable. And in those games, maybe you try to find external value for it as like a smite battery between Shards of Anaris or Mirror of Minds plus smite and the Phantasmal Grenade Launcher, or whatever it's called. Or sometimes maybe you're like, well, this guy's actual powers don't do much, his auras don't do much, so let me just try to cast some Psychic Rituals with him. Or maybe you build your Harlequin list to make him know while he stands, and then his job is literally just not to get killed. That's what I try to do with Harlequins these days, because I think Harlequins are an army that want to just trash your opponent's primary while doing okay on primary themselves and scoring secondaries. So to that end, I got to build in while we stand we fights. Because then you got engagement on front pretty much locked in as Harlequins. Scrambler is always a safe one as Harlequins. And while we stand as Harlequins, you can pick 3 secondaries completely independent of your opponent. And that's win conditions right there.
What's the reasoning for going for Mortarian's Anvil instead of the Ferryman?
But I started with Ferryman. I moved to Mortarian's Anvil. And it's because when some things don't care about count is not charging. Like there's a million things that do. I'm not concerned with the things that beat. I'm concerned with the things that beat me. So, for example, if John was to cast Paroxysm on any of my units, then charge it with a Demon Karen. If you look at that, I fight last. He counts as not charging. He fights first because I'm fighting last, and I died to a Demon Karen. Anyone who has always strikes first. Okay, you count as not charging. But you have always strikes first in what would normally be an ongoing combat. So I guess this Lineage Demon army is going to rip me to pieces. And what I found is that the Foul Blight Spawn is a great tool in certain matchups, is also utterly worthless in others because some armies are tech to just handle things like him. And in those games, it's more consistently better to turn off rerolls because things like Vanguard Vets literally can't kill Poxwalkers when you turn off rerolls. And Poxwalkers, standing on an objective, when they don't die to Vanguard Vets, literally can't be killed by armies like Blood Angels or White Scars, save for like Plasma Scepters blowing them up. And that severely limits the options of the Space Marine player, or whatever army here is in question. I just found it more consistently useful.
Definitely agree with both of you. Still learning to this day from my White Scars. Been getting more game reps with them. See a big difference in my gameplay and game knowledge in the last 6 months. And you were also coached by Mr. John Lennon. You can't have a better coach than that for White Scars.
You got pretty good White Scars over here. No, that's true. John's great.
Yeah, John is the man. Late to the show, but thanks for coming out again to the Clutch City. Hope to have you have the team out next year. Thank you so much, Nathan. Nick had an absolute blast.
Definitely. Well run GT.
Nick, have you considered a 5-man Shroud Squad for While We Stand that can hide in Deep Strike? You get the threat projection that demands screening, but the actual plan is to hide him until turn 3.
Yeah, I never really thought about deep striking them. I mean, I could do the same exact thing with the large unit of Blight Lords. Like 7 Blight Lords is 280, 5 Death Shreds is 250, 6 Death Shreds is 300. It's all the same cost, more or less. Plus or minus a couple Poxwalkers. That's how I look at that card. But the thing is, with when you deep strike large bricks of Terminators, what's stopping your opponent from just charging into you? It is the large brick of Terminators. Like otherwise, you're not a combat army. 2D imprints and a pile of poxwalkers and some guns. That's what you deploy. So against the White Scars or the Blood Angels or any of those armies, if you don't deploy the Terminators, they just run straight into you. Let's say you go second, they screen out a little bit, your Terminators don't make a YOLO 9-inch charge on the drop-in, and then it's turn 3 before you even see combat with them, and you've been getting sanguinary guarded for 2 turns or whatever it is. It's very bad. So you almost have to deploy the big Terminator unit to be a deterrent, which is fine because all you're trying to do is get people to leave you alone while you spread the sickness and while we stand and whatever else you're doing. So I don't want anyone coming near me. I want people to leave me alone. And if I deep strike too much, it doesn't send the message, leave me alone. It sends the message, come get me before my stuff shows up. And I don't want to create that message. This is a good question.
About the message.
About the message.
In case of attack bikes get a point increase or some sort of nerf, what do you think would be the valid replacement? Eradicators, ATVs?
Attack bikes don't get point increases or nerfs. And I'm not even just saying that to be trolly because I love attack bike hype, but I do. Attack bikes are kind of one of those units that are probably never going to change until they just die. And when they die, they're probably never coming back, and it makes me sad. But until then, they'll be like the Thunderfire, where they're not replaced. You don't take a Whirlwind to replace your Thunderfire. You just take a different Space Marine already because you're missing that tool. I think you could try to fix it with Eradicators or ATVs, as you said, and you'll be really disappointed at the results. So I think you just build Space Marine lists differently if attack bikes go away. And they're also very meta dependent right now. You know, like a lot of Meltguns are really good. Bolters are really useful. Having both on a Move 14 platform is amazing.
Any thoughts on the Talos from Texas? Is there hope for the greater good?
I think so. I was really impressed. Like, it was eye-opening. Sieg's already been beating around the bush with these concepts, but having seen someone else do it as well in a different kind of style is like, this is really how Talos is supposed to play. And, you know, they just move. That's what they do. They move. They move really well.
They shoot pretty hard. They have a lot of access to reroll wounds, which is one of the best rules you can have right now.
Yeah, the reroll wounds is really annoying. What do you think, Siege? You're going to beat me with Tau, you said.
Yeah. I think they're actually quite strong into Death Guard.
I hope not.
Like, Death Guard without the Poxwalkers, is just like, what is this army even doing?
That's true. The Boxwalkers are why I win all my games.
Yeah. I think that Airburst unit is one of the strongest units in the game still.
Yeah, the Airburst unit, every time I play against, is oppressive.
It's like, why is this?
Just the rest of the army is so bad, like I can beat the rest of it. But if the rest of the army's not trying to be good, and it's just focused on actually let me just score the mission while the Airburst unit does all the damage, like that's a legitimate strategy.
Yep. So I'm definitely going to be playing, as you can see, painting the Devilfish. I'm going to be playing more Tau on stream, 100%. We're going to get a Tau versus GSC game in. And Nick is going to make John play the GSC.
No.
You're going to play the GSC?
I'm not playing Tau. That's all I'm saying.
So then you're going to make John play the GSC in that matchup.
If I'm not playing Tau, how am I?
No, I'd be playing Tau. That's just what's happening.
Oh.
No, one of you would play GSC, and it's going to be... I don't think Nick is going to take that one.
That's John. That's John's name all over it.
Our Catan's going to be in your main list. I mean, I played one game with 2, and then the Sawtech detachment, which I didn't like, and then the first time playing the 3 with the Custom Dynasty. I liked it. I didn't have, still learning the list, but
I think 3 might be too much, just because like it felt like I beat you. I didn't win that game, but I felt like I had a win path, which is beat your other stuff up and ignore the mortals. So I think if you just cut 1 and put more points into other stuff, like that could be solid.
It could be solid, yeah. Like 2 with just more Custom Dynasty stuff for sure. 3 feels really great into the Death Guard and Dark Angel stuff.
Yeah, if I played against Triple Catan, I don't know what I would do.
It's just like he saw the mortal. I couldn't even use the best ones because it wasn't good against that Harlequin list.
Plague Skull of Colophila. That's what I would do. More ones in the movement phase. Let's go.
But yeah, I definitely plan to play some more games with that and just test out different options. Another thing I thought of was just running more Ghost Arcs instead of the
Double Ghost Arc.
or triple, because that Scarab unit or a Crypto Thrall unit plus the Wraiths is a Ghost Arc.
Yeah.
You just have a bunch of Ghost Arcs sitting on objectives with
I,
OPSEC.
Ghost Arcs are real.
Especially when objectives are close. The one just holds, can be holding either one. So if your opponent contests one, it's holding the other one. Can't hold two at the same time, but you can at least threaten to hold either one. How do you deal with Death Guard as Necrons? Found the matchup to be really challenging lately. I think the Mortal Spam is something that Death Guard really hates. I think the other way to do it is just mass 1 damage. The problem is the mass 1 damage, you want to be really close to them, and that's where you're getting hit by a lot of stuff. So in the cases where you're getting close, you need to build in Fight Last so you can actually engage the White Lords or Death Shrouds effectively. So that's things like bringing the Psychomancer or the Sawtech Relic or the Silent King.
Silent King.
Do we know if new stuff in the Book of Rust are usable and competitive? Haven't seen the full book yet, but I imagine they are, because there's supposed to be Crusade rules too, and I figured if it wasn't for match play, they just put in the Crusade rules. Do you see Vanguard vets being nerfed in the future?
Yeah. Maybe not Vanguard vets being nerfed, but I could see the points on their Lightning Claws or Storm Shields going up a point or two. And like the Lightning Claws goes up 2, and the Storm Shield goes up 2, and the unit costs 40 more points for 10, and you have 2 units, that's 80 more points on your list. That's how GW has been nerfing stuff lately. It's no longer conscription where you just pound into the next dimension, forgotten forever. It's just like, yeah, maybe I don't spam 20 because it's another 100 points off of my list.
Yeah, and I think that's a very reasonable strategy.
Yeah,
that's the preferred.
That's what you want.
Yeah. You're never seeing this unit again. Don't try.
Rip conscripts. Rip cultists.
Grey Knights the faction for a while.
Grey Knights were fine.
They were not fine.
They've always been fine.
Until that Psychic Awakening, they were the worst army of the game.
Triple Collects is Grey Knights. That was my jam. No one ever got to see it because I don't have a Grey Knight army, but there was a list there. This is back in 8th edition, of course.
No, Nick is talking right. He's taking that to
We're
Maryland.
saying that to Maryland.
It's illegal, but it's okay.
Is that illegal?
Yeah, you can't just take 3 Collects anymore.
Well, I don't know how that works.
They changed how you get access to assassins.
Honestly, when I see an assassin, some dude's imperialist that I turn in, I'm just like, tell me what it does. Tell me what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I know they don't do much, so it's like, okay, you just spent 100 points to annoy me. But I've not lost to an assassin. It's knock on some wood. But
here it comes.
Here it comes.
The round 1 assassin Inquisition force.
The assassin Inquisition
takes down
force.
Nick Nanavati.
Oh no.
Magic. Vindicare kills all your characters. Can't target the Death Guard characters next to the Death Shrouds, but he still did it.
That bodyguard rule saved me so much heartache.
What's the ultimate breakfast of champions in the morning of a GT?
A coffee and a shot of alcohol. Honestly, that is my breakfast for Saturday mornings and tournaments. You take the coffee because you stayed up late the night before and you need to wake up because you're functioning on about 4 hours of sleep and you got a long day ahead of you. And then you take the shot to cut the nerves because you're anxious before your round 1 pairing. Six probably beats a good old bar.
Yeah, I'll eat something light, typically.
I enjoy my pre-GT rituals.
Nick, will we be seeing your Death Watch again anytime soon?
You're seeing them right now for a reason. We're gonna build them all. We're gonna paint them all. We're gonna put them on stream. I'm never gonna lose again. I think this 40% win rate Deathwater totem is absolute garbage, and I need to get my Death Watch together and show everyone they're wrong.
Is there a concern that as people get more practice versus Death Guard and the metagame adjusts, it becomes more difficult for the faction to perform? People can just list build to clear the required damage threshold.
Absolutely. That is a real limitation of Death Guard, and why I think Death Guard will ultimately move towards a more soupy army. Right now, they're the new hotness, and everyone is just playing Death Guard because they are very good. Don't get me wrong, they are very good, but they're also their army is kind of a list check in a way. It's like, I'm really tough, and I'm going to score all of my points. Can you stop me? And if the answer is yes, Not many armies can do it, so the answer is not often yes. But when the answer is yes, like my game against Sean, it's just like, well, crap. I was really hoping you would say no, man. Like, I don't have plan B over here. So for me, that's a deal breaker. That's why I'm kind of not down on Death Guard, but I'm like, if LVO was next week and I was taking Death Guard, it's kind of out of my hands whether or not I win that tournament. Like it's more of a list thing. But you have to play it well. Don't get me wrong. You have to play your half of the Death Guard game actually very well in certain matches. Otherwise, you just don't even score your points. But if you move well and you know what you're doing, you're patient, you can score your points. The thing is, against like certain factions, specific lists, you can't. Like I have dodged Grey Knights with my Death Guard forever, and I would like to keep it that way. But I acknowledge that's just
Nick wouldn't play me in the war. Nope. Like the Grey Knights, no.
There's no point. I can't win that game.
It would be so brutal. Like
that's turn one. There's no more Poxwalkers.
That's it.
Then what do?
Literally every single one.
So I guess I'm going to use my Terminators to fight you now. Here's 400 smites. Your Poxwalkers are all dead.
That's great.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm being overly negative about it, but that's how I see it.
It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
Innes thinks that Psychomancer is the first character in a Catan list.
I like the Psychomancer.
If I wasn't running the 20 Warrior, I think the 20 Warriors is essential for screening purposes and just having bodies on the board.
Yeah.
And because of that, you need the Chronomancer really, because they will get picked up by Plasma Inceptors, whatever. So
the 5 of 5.
If I didn't take the Warriors, then yes, I would take the Psychomancer as the Cryptek. Facebook 40K confirmed it is indeed match play. Not surprising there for those campaign rules.
Nice.
Clown Loaded, $2 super chat. Any idea what's going on with the Seer Council, Nick?
Oh, I wrote the list this morning. Would you like me to share? He's a super MSU Eldar army with a 600-point Seer Council. So there's 2 Foresters on bikes because you got to make your Seer Council do Seer Council stuff. There's a 600-point Spear Council because you got to buy them spears. You know, if I'm going to put 550 points into a unit, let me go the extra mile, pay another 50. Give it 10 more shots. There's a Spirit Seer because I'm playing Eldar. Who am I kidding? Gotta have your second powers. So those are the HQs. Got the big 10-man council. I got, I think, 6 units of 5 Dire Avengers, because you know how your boy likes his Dire Avengers. And this is not Ajmerman Avengers. This isn't even defending Shield Avengers like I've been doing. This is just 55-point scoring units that move fast. And like if they shoot something, that's cool.
Fire and Fade.
Fire and Fade. So 6 of those. 2 units of 3 jet bikes. Again, not doing anything. They're 60 points. They're super fast. They shoot okay, 12 shots. Just mission stuff. Mission stuff is all that is. Then I have another detachment, Spearhead of Expert Crafters and Masters of Concealment. That's the covered one. I went for that instead of Norse cover because I'm taking Raciers. So it's 2 solo Warwalkers. I think I went with Eldar Missile Launchers so I can get some versatility in there. And then I have 2 solo Vipers with Bright Lances so they can just like hit something hard with a reroll to hit, reroll to wound. And then I got 2 Raciers with D cannons. So I have a lot of psychic powers because the War Spirit Seer, the Wraith Seers, the Far Seers, and the Council. I've got a lot of troops. I got a lot of speed, decent range shooting. I actually like the army a lot. Honestly, the Council, I think, is the worst part of my army, but aside from that, it's a really strong Eldar army.
It's mandatory, though.
That's why it's here.
Thanks so much, Clown Mode. Hope you're going to enjoy the matchup tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Seer Council Eldar into John's Tyranids. Let's scroll back up real quick. Thank you very much for your answer, Nick. Mr. Siegs, what is your wish list for 9th edition Tau Codex? Appreciate John's wish list for Tyranids. I love the jetpack keyword to do something. Fallback and shoot would be awesome, even if -1 to hit, whatever. I would really like for the faction as a whole to have a purpose for auxiliaries. So there should be warlord traits, relics, or just abilities that help the crew out. And Vespids, because they need it. Ideally,
they need it?
They really do.
They're great. You played Crew against me. I just played against Crew. They were awesome.
They just instantly... I lost like Went back, it was like 12 of them died in morale. This is so bad. There's so many points.
Auto pass the morale.
I couldn't. You shot at 2 squads. um, so other than that, I would really like to see marker light table redone. It should be a token system. It should not be linked to their ballistic skill if they're dead set on keeping Tau at BS4. So I would redo marker lights, and then they really just vehicles need extra rules if they're not going to have for the greater good or extra support. So if they're not going to give them access to support systems or shield generators, then they really need to redesign the vehicles to have something else.
Yeah.
They're just not good. They're overcosted and they don't do enough.
That's the spirit.
Yep. Well, I want to see the vehicles. The vehicles are cool. Like, they finally got the Devilfish to a playable position because it's not obscenely overcosted. Is Anarchy usable in a competitive list alongside Xeris? 40 warriors, 10 Lich Guard as the core. Yeah, he's usable. Essentially, you're not if you go for Xeris and Anarchy, you're not going for the Silent King. I think the Silent King does more than both of them because he's a secondary machine with Code of Combat, and he gives you long-range firepower that normally you don't have access to, and he makes warriors a blender with reroll wounds as well as Lich Guard. I think he's just better overall. But if you don't want to go that direction, I think Anarchy and Xeris is a nice middle point. Thoughts on Deathwatch, Nick?
Thoughts on Deathwatch? I think Deathwatch are awesome. They're absolutely awesome. They're the strangest of the Marine factions because they have the most weird rules and the weirdest army construction. They're also the most limited. There's a long list of units you can't take playing Deathwatch, which sucks because I would love to take some cheap Scout Storms and stuff. But I'm determined. We're going to crack this code because the internet told me that they suck, and that is a challenge.
40% win rate. 40% win rate.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that right upside down.
What do you think of the D. McCarran? Is it the top tyrannical bug of the moment?
Might be. Definitely insane.
Yeah, it is extremely powerful.
Like it's probably less powerful than like a Harridan, but a Harridan is also way more expensive in shooting, so it's kind of apples and oranges. For what a D. McCarran is, it's probably the best bug at it.
Yeah, it's cost.
Yeah,
it's super efficient.
Yeah,
and it really benefits from the Kraken rules, which are the best Tyranid rules.
Mm-hmm. But what about Leviathan? 6 of Penal Pain.
You could run Leviathan
if you're in Synapse.
Remember that Zone Throat list?
Zone Throat list is beautiful.
And then Storm Shields happen, and your Tyrannifex can kill a Blade Guard, and you just walk through.
I'm so sad the Tyrannifexes didn't make the cut. Like they were actually like good. Just not good enough. Poor guys.
Trickiest faction in 40k: Harlequin, Scars, or GSC?
I've played all three, so I'm not even biased here. Like I played all three in like tournaments. No, I've never played Harlequin in tournaments, but I played Harlequins a fair bit. I think Harlequins are, honestly.
I don't think it's White Scars. I think White Scars have more raw power than either of them, but the tricks...
It used to be Gene Stealer Cult, but I think the Gene Stealer Cult builds that are doing successfully now don't rely on tricks.
Not tricky.
Just shoot you and countercharge you. It's fairly simple. They do still have lying in a way, and Perfect Ambush is something you might be aware of, but Harlequins are live and die by the fact that they do janky stuff. That's their strategy.
It's really that Psychic Awakening. Well, not Psychic Awakening, but White Dwarf rules that they got. That was a huge.
That was huge.
It was just Jank City.
Yeah.
How would you run Crusader and Sword Brethren and Black Templars? Mainly melee army, chain swords. But if they're going to just sit back on objectives, so bolt guns. I would always go with the melee. Yeah, because that's what Black Templars already do well. And
go with the melee.
You might want to advance and charge them or hold things in combat on the 2-up.
Sometimes people come and try to mess with your objectives, and you want to be able to punch back with a guy or two and like dish out 7,000.
Bolt guns are awful.
They don't do anything.
Basically, they don't do anything. They'll kill Kroot, and that's not the standard you want to set.
I ran bolt guns on my Plague Marines because I was like, maybe they're just going to sit in the backfield and just shoot bolters. Honestly, Plague Knives would have been so much better because they didn't do anything when they were just sitting there on objectives besides sitting there on objectives either way. When they did get messed with, an extra attack would have been nice.
Ideal tank commander loadouts, nice, cheap, or bulk up to work into hordes and elite infantry. John Lennon prefers the Demolisher cannon, backed up by 2 multi-meltas, sponsons. And then you have the heavy bolter on there. I think that's kind of where the meta is, especially into armies like Death Guard and Dark Angels. You really want stuff like that.
Oh, Siegs, am I done building yet?
Are you?
No, I have 2 more boxes.
Okay.
But I want to be done. This is a lot.
So you're not. But you don't have to do it again.
Yes, I do. There's only the bodies.
No, but you don't have to build the bodies again. That's nice.
That's true.
Nick, do you think that Custodian's Dread list army works you faced in round 2 and 3? Think it's a strong list?
The Custodian's Dreadnought list I played in round 4, but yeah, I do think it's a strong list. I think that specific list had some wasted points. Like I wasn't a big fan of the Calidus. I think that could just go away.
Get some full payload in there.
Honestly, I would cut the Calidus, take the exact same army, and cut the Walking Shield Captain, because that guy sucks, and put in a proper Bike Captain that's like super hard to kill. And then I'd play the exact same army. Maybe rearrange Dreadnoughts. I haven't really looked into if that's the optimal style of Dreadnoughts, but there's got to be a critical mass there. You can't let me cut 3 Dreadnoughts for some Allures. Don't get any crazy ideas. It's still got to be Dreadnoughts.
Any ideas how they can make aspects viable in the new codex? Give them the buffs that Incubi got.
Yeah.
Especially
new rules. They've been 23 points for a toughness 3 dude carrying a melta gun just isn't that good.
No, because you need a transport for them, and then it gets really pricey.
Yeah. So they need better rules to be worth taking. Is all it is.
They started getting there with the aspect, the whatever the sergeant ability is called.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the Exarch abilities.
Yeah, those are really good. Great direction.
They need more stuff like that. Considering getting some Dark Reapers on my list to support the Spears, but are there better alternatives to Fire and Fade Reapers?
I think Fire and Fade Reapers kind of suck. If you're talking about taking a 10 man and putting it into a Serpent, or even just putting it into a wall and then Fire and Fade back and forth with the wall. The problem with a giant unit of Dark Reapers is 1, it's expensive to craft. 2, it really wants to be guided, and so does Spears, so you're fighting for your own resources. And then I've used this unit many times. I've used it to win LVO, so I've tried it. In today's day and age, there's a lot more terrain than there used to be, and people are focused on taking melee-centric armies that hide as their way of getting out the table. So when 10 Dark Reapers stare at a wall that has 10 Vanguard Vets behind them, it feels terrible, because then those 10 Vanguard Vets jump out from behind the wall and kill all your Dark Reapers, and you couldn't do a thing about it. If you have 3 units of 3 Dark Reapers, and then you do the Fast Shot Exarch, you end up functionally with 12 Reapers instead of 10. For the cost of 9. They don't all get guide, because the guide will only go in one place, but a guide can then go on your Spears. And then because you're Master Crafters, your 4-shot unit gets 1 reroll to hit, which is almost like reroll to hits. Maybe you missed twice and you missed out on a reroll, but it's okay. You have more guys functionally, so it all works out. You almost have Doom, and if you actually cast Doom, then you actually have Doom. Because again, same thing, Strength 8, and you get 1 free reroll per every 4 or 3 dudes who fire. So that's a great way around it, and it lets you not put all of your guns in the exact same spot. If I know there's 10 Dark Reapers behind that ruin, guess what? I'm going to measure 6 inches out from that ruin in all directions, and that's where I know you can go, and then I can check your line of sight. If there's 3 Dark Reapers in that ruin, 3 Dark Reapers 12 inches away from them in a different ruin, and then 3 Dark Reapers 12 inches away from them in a third ruin, now it's okay, I can check 6 inches to the left, 6 inches to the right, and 6 inches forward from all 3 units. But now there's crossfire lanes that I won't be able to... I can't dodge them all, so I have to come into line of sight of one of the units to actually accomplish anything in my turn. And then now I'm getting hit by 1 Dark Reaper unit instead of mitigating all 10.
But you're also just taxing their ability to do things in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Nick, if I beat you 1-on-1, can I take your spot in the house?
Yeah. Move right in. Who said that?
That was JXF 5016.
Justin, my man. Yeah, it's all yours.
Ordered my Sanguinary Guard as the Blood Angel supplement came out. They just arrived today. Is the golden day of Sanguinary Guard over? They're still very good. They're just not good in Death Guard. And even then, they're still actually decent into Poxwalkers. Just don't throw them in the Charmers.
I'm gonna kill Demon Princes.
And 4 of them can kill a Demon Prince.
4 of them one-shot Demon Prince. Just what's it called? Cut them down.
Cut them down.
Cut them down.
How is that real life?
I don't know. Stuff like that happens to me. But then I still win the game, so it's like fine. But like, I get to complain about it. I love complaining about it.
It could have been bad.
Could have been bad.
I'm no Nick Nanavati, but I would suggest trying your Reapers 3x3 with Rapid Shot Expert Crafters. Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah.
Custom Dynasty, -1 toughness, 6-inch pregame move. Thoughts? Or still trumped by Obsec? Obsec just wins you games. I mean, you saw how powerful it was against the Harlequins.
Yeah. Well, you saw the Harlequins being Obsec and almost stealing back like a 60-point deficit.
Yeah. You need Obsec, and even on the Warriors, it's nice to have that double if you're only stringing out to a couple objectives. Having double Obsec there.
Definitely.
Love your streams. Any advice for a brand new player who chose Harlequins as my first army? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Nick, Harlequins, first army. How do you get good with Harlequins?
Patience, practice,
CP discipline.
CP discipline. Harlequins are probably the hardest army in the game to play. And at this point, I think
Tower
harder.
harder.
Yeah.
Tower harder. They have less advantages. They don't have the same raw.
I don't know. The Harlequins are certainly up there.
Yeah,
this is not a debate about Tower Harlequins. So, Harlequins are very challenging. And if you're a newer player starting out on Harlequins, I'm all for it. They're a very rewarding army. They're very fun to paint if you're into that. They're really cool and unique. You won't find that experience anywhere else in 40K. But it's hard. So sign up for some coaching, join the war room, and aside from that, you're in here for the long haul. You're going to lose a lot of games. Don't get discouraged. It's going to be okay. Look at it as a learning process.
Yeah, once you're a master at Harlequins, it'd be very hard to beat.
I always say there's no such thing as bad Harlequin players because bad Harlequin players typically quit and go play some other faction, or you become a good Harlequin player. Do the latter is my advice to you.
Is it ever worth it taking mixed attachments with Necrons? Or command protocols a must? They're not a must, but I think still having the custom it's either custom dynasty or Novak. I think those are by far the best two.
Yeah, I agree.
I've tried the allying and the Sawtech stuff, and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I tried Sawtech and like it was cute, but like, meh.
Yeah,
not really.
It's not actually helping me win.
It didn't feel like I was gonna go win a big tournament with like my rapid fire 18 Gauss blasters.
No. Or just having effect from Xandric.
I didn't even take that. Paying 135 for effect was too steep for me.
No, it was in fact too steep because he does nothing else.
Yeah.
How would Nick know Harlequins are fun to paint? You're not wrong there. That's
Hey, I painted 10 of them. Maybe 11 at this point. I don't know. Let's count.
maybe 11.
Harlequins are one of those armies you gotta paint when you want to paint. If you try to paint them when you feel like you have to, you won't. It's one of those projects of passion. At least that's how I look at them. I'm not very passionate though.
The thing is, what if you never become passionate about it? Well, they never get finished.
Wow, that's okay. That's okay.
I
I actually really enjoyed our game the other day.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's certainly better than the last Harlequins vs. Necrons.
That game was brutal.
That game was cheating. You got me to quit 40K twice that weekend.
What was the other game? Admech vs. Orcs?
Admech vs. Orcs.
Oh, Orcs.
You know, we've all had our streaks, but when they happen, it sucks.
Wasn't that the one where it was back-to-back weekends of us, or was it separated by?
It was like a weekend of us, and then
because then it was Grey Knights into Demons, and what was the other game?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was just silliness. That month was not. That was a tough month.
Was it Sisters vs. Necrons too?
Yeah, Sisters vs. Necrons.
Oh no. That's when my parking lot got real bad.
I have 5 vehicles stuck behind a single ruin and I can't get any of them out. This is awesome.
There was magic Jenga Tetris going on. But unfortunately, the Magic Jenga Tetris really detracted from the killing of the Necrons.
Hey, how's it going, Jim? Welcome. Hope you're doing well. We got a super chat from Matt at 10 pounds. Thank you so much. Thanks for the chat, guys. Got to go, but always good to work with the background 40K talk. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You and Matt O are competing for those top 2 super chatter positions right now. We'll see if anybody's going to come in late here in the second half of the month.
I'm always coming late.
You're always going late?
Got a shower at the stream. Oh, we're going to assemble almost 30 Deathwatch guys in one pain stream. Isn't that a new record?
Yeah. I mean, but this is a good assembly line for you.
Yeah.
Just, you focus on that, you get it done, boom.
I miss the washes.
You missed the wash. What about all these Farsight Enclaves killing Deathwatch in the background? Look at that hero drone.
You have to show me how to change the pictures.
I'm just not going to.
You're just not going to.
I'm the master of the backgrounds. I'm the key master here.
I'm sure this is just like a 30-second.
It's so easy.
Away,
it's so easy, but
never gonna happen.
The effort is just far too high. Richard, is the Korean history worth it? History is an excellent avenue for becoming a good writer, becoming a good analyzer of evidence and information, being able to put it as clearly as possible in writing, and then being able to convince people. History is about arguments. It's about interpretation.
Why didn't they ask me what history was about?
Because they saw you said it was about aliens, and they were very
that's not what I said. They asked me about the impacts
direct quote.
They asked me about the French economic impacts, okay, in history. That's why aliens were brought up. That's very correlated. But what history is the process of studying from the past so you can learn not to make the same mistakes in the future. That's history applied right there.
It's really not.
It is.
That's not what history is about.
It is. What's the point of knowing what happened before? There is none. There's literally no practical point except for to learn from your mistakes.
But history is not a one-to-one with the future and the present.
So there's no point practically. What is the point?
I just told you what history is about. History is an argumentative discipline. Okay, right?
So it teaches you how to argue.
It teaches you how you make arguments, how you support arguments with evidence, how you find that evidence efficiently and effectively, and how you put it into writing to convince people.
And why do we need to know that? Like I understood. History teaches you how to make arguments with facts and doing research.
Yeah,
great
question.
To what
Wonderful.
End?
This is the question that people ask all the time. Right now, companies like Google, Yahoo, etc., are trying to get history majors into their companies. Why? Because they need those arguments to be made. There's tons of data everywhere, right? Google's obsessed with analytics, with data. How do you interpret that data? How do you put it in clear writing about what that data should mean? You get people like this who have humanities PhDs. All right, that's what's going on right now.
So you can learn.
You're learning, yeah.
So history is about learning.
Yeah, but I said it's not a one-to-one with the.
It's not.
It's not about learning your mistakes.
I understand. It's not just like in the 1500s they wrote a wooden boat and it sank. So now in 2011 we have to do a documentary about the wooden boat. No one cares about that.
No, it's less about the specifics of history and more about using it as a mechanism for becoming a good argumenter and finding evidence.
So business school.
No, well, business school certainly didn't help with that writing.
Business school is about talking. It's not about writing. It's about talking.
Writing is where you can best
you know what you do all day? You go in your room and you write things. You know what I do all day? I sit pacing through the house on my phone. That's what I do.
You watching Suits?
I turn Suits on, and you don't let me watch it for more than 10 minutes, and then it gets paused, and I turn it off.
Nick used to think Expert Crafter was not optimal. Has that changed or only for MSU Reaper builds?
Did you know that?
That's just lost.
No, it's right there.
Lost
I see it. It's not. I have no Reapers in the list I'm trying Thursday, but I'm using Expert Crafters. I think it's really good when you're running small units like Warwalkers or Vipers. Small quantity of high quality shots is across many units is when you get really good values out of a free roll hit, a free roll wound. Can you grab that thing? It's right there. It's like,
we'll get it at the end of the stream.
I'm using it.
I use that as the last one, the literal last one.
I'm on the last one.
You're not. There's 7. Look at all this. You can't show Nick how to change the background. Next thing it'll be just his face. I mean, we can't have it happen.
No, I don't.
Nick's dropping stuff all over the floor. He can't even keep Deathwatch bits on the table.
The Death Watch
He
picture.
can't possibly be. As soon as Nick touches OBS, something happens.
Something does happen.
Something. Where'd all the scenes go, Nick? I just touched a button. I have had to do so much work tracking back because of Nick messing around with the OBS scenes.
I don't do that. This is a fallacy.
It's a fallacy?
It's a fallacy.
Which fallacy is it?
Schrodinger's cat. You don't know.
Sunken cost?
No, that's sunken cost fallacy.
Nick actually knows the sunken cost fallacy.
Business school. I also know Schrodinger's cat. Sometimes you close the fridge, you know if the cat's in the fridge, the box, whatever the analogy is. You don't know if it's there. It's a cat. The guy's name was Schrodinger.
Are Nick's powers of ignorance Bellicor's sword versus Sieg's invuln of knowledge? I get to reroll invulns as well, unlike Alan Shee.
I ignore invulns. You're like, here's my knowledge shield. And I'm like, who gives a crap?
I can actually only take 3 wounds per phase.
Good thing your toughness 1 grot.
You're the grot, Nick. We even have your grot emoji. Let's get that. It's been a long time.
Yeah, where have these emojis been? I haven't seen them in a while.
Right there. Boom. Nick is the angry grot. He's Makari. You heard it here first. Sieg is dropping our reward to work for you, Yahoo Analytics.
All right.
I'm doing the analytics here on YouTube.
Sieg comes up with these awesome reports. He's like, Nick, we have like people from Africa watching us. We got like these are our country breakdowns of the times they do stuff. I'm like, all right, Sieg, what does that mean? And he's like, I don't know.
This is what the report says. Nick actually read the report. It only took him 2 weeks.
It actually took 5 minutes. It just took 2 weeks to get me.
To get to read it. Did you send that to me again? It's been in your email. Nick's got to check the emails.
No, John checks the emails. That's the chain of command here.
So Novak Warrior Blob Patrol with OPSEC Wraith Scarabs and an Outrider can probably work, considering taking Orican as the Outrider HQ, so you can cross the invulns. Yeah, it can definitely work. But I think the Novak list works best with the Silent King. I think you get the best out of him there.
Yeah.
It dramatically increases the damage. And it also means you can fight reliably in 2 places. One place with the Silent King and maybe something else, and then somewhere else you activate first. We've got Adam Lane with a 10-pound super chat. Thank you so much, Adam. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Adam is one of our R-Word coaches and a mathematician.
Yeah.
Professional math hammer.
Adam, in your professional statistician art of war coach opinion, which of Siegs and I, in your various interactions with both of us, knows more about the scientific part of 40K, the maths, as you put it? I want your honest opinion here, and I will not hold it against you. If you don't give me the answer I like, though I will.
Loving the academic philosophy exchange between you two. That's what we do here in our war. We have academic philosophical exchanges on a daily basis.
What would Zinch do?
What would Zinch, and then Mark comes in with what would Zinch do. Extremely helpful.
Serious matters need to be discussed, broken down. What would Zinch do, guys?
At least it wasn't what would Korn do.
Kill everything.
Which is main. Let's say waiting for Adam to respond. Thank you so much for that super chat, Adam.
Thingy.
It's over there.
Oh, I might not need it. They give me extra bodies.
They gave you extra bodies. You're good.
Oh, no.
It's gone and it's disappeared into the warp. Alright, I'm all good on my devilfish.
You're good on your devilfish? Well, then help me with these.
More entertaining than 2 guys painting has any right to be. That's true.
It's because I'm not even painting.
When Nick gets painting, then it gets really entertaining because
When
you
John-
don't know what's going on.
When John's on the paint stream with Siegs, it's just like, let's talk about our Tyranid matchups. When I get painting, oh man, who knows what we're talking about.
Talk about D. McCarran's. How many hours can you talk about a D. McCarran?
Me, about 37 seconds.
John can spend infinite.
I went on the 4-second walk from here into our closet of shame with all of our models to get the rest of the Death Watch boxes. John was in the kitchen eating lunch. He walked, he got up from the seat, followed me through the house to the closet, and the entire time was telling me about some Admech detachment I literally could not care less about. And then I just walked back in here and he's still talking.
He's got to tell you.
He's got to tell me.
John is actually the servitor for this. He's just like spouting out nonsense, just like patting him on the head.
It's just like an endless flow of useless knowledge.
But it's there. Nick thinks very differently to almost anyone else I've ever met and suspect he actually uses more math than Siegs, although arguably Siegs is way more scientific.
Interesting.
That's a reasonable
That's
answer.
a real answer. I think very differently to anyone else I've ever met. I have to take that as a compliment. But like, what does that mean?
You haven't met Mark though, Adam. When you meet
That's
Mark,
true.
he thinks
Mark, like, I can't follow Mark. I can follow Mark closer than Siegs and John can, but that's still like needle in a haystack over here.
Mark starts at you talking, you just let him talk. All sorts of stuff are happening. Mark starts in the middle of stories in many ways.
Starts in the middle, gives you no context. Like it's not.
He just
like,
starts a story.
So we were at no, it doesn't start. We were in the elevator and then at the breastfeeding convention. What, Mark? What? We're at dinner. Like,
what he really meant to say was him and his brother were helping his mom at a breastfeeding convention. And he happened to start with just him and his brother were there.
Yeah, there was like no story. The story,
no story, or why help is needed, what help is needed. That's a Mark story. Or War After Dark. Whenever you're good, I am good.
Well, we're grinding these Death Watch. You can be good all day. I'm
right,
sitting here and I'm grinding.
I will keep up on the questions.
Some of us aren't slackers.
No, I got the 2 double shit done.
That one's done?
Mm-hmm.
That one's like black.
It's Viorla. It needs to be a different color.
Oh my god. What is Viorla? Viorla's the one I played against.
Well, you played against Farsight Enclaves with a small Viorla detachment, and you got confused during the game, and I heard Will explaining to you how it actually worked.
He told me the white ones were Farsight, and I asked him...
Oh, the white ones are Viorla.
And see? You don't even know.
No, that was true. Except for the Riptide, which was
the
white.
Riptide is white, and the Riptide was Farsight, and that threw the whole thing off. I was just then so confused.
An exception to the rule, okay? It was built into the process.
Look, in my brain, I don't know what your system is. You told me white equals Viorla. Okay, pretty simple. And then the white equals Viorla except now it's
Plus
all
the
complicated.
Riptide.
When did the exceptions end? So was it just the Riptide? I don't know.
Matt O with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Matt. Drukari Hype. Hope you are all doing well today. We are doing excellent. Nick is super excited for Drukari. We have a full slate of things happening next week, including Drukari versus running the gauntlet. Drukari versus Admech, Drukari versus Knights, Drukari versus Death Guard. Got it all happening.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. I'm actually gonna need that. They didn't give me enough. If you want it, just grab it because that's 3 bodies in this.
All right, let me see a question for you.
Ah.
Link in the description is 404ing. Just to let you know, is it all the links? Is it one link? Is it our website? Just let me know which one it is, and we will fix that.
Why do they call it 404?
Don't ask these questions.
It's a good question.
Nick thinks in abstract concepts. He doesn't know why he has the right answer, but he knows he does.
That's true. That is honest to God how I think. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. I try. My articulation sometimes isn't the greatest. But, I know I'm right.
Nick, have you considered Frozen Stars instead of Soaring Spike? Spikes just don't do enough?
I think about... That's the only decision there is. That's the first decision you make when you're making a Harvard list. Is Frozen Stars or Soaring Spike. I prefer moving to punching. And that's really why I go Soaring Spike. Some players do like killing stuff. I do too, don't get me wrong. Dead stuff makes my life easier, but I think Harlequins don't have the raw efficiency to just fight Space Marines and armies like that on let's kill them strategy, so I focus more on the movement aspects.
Do you guys think John's Knights are real? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they still have Knight problems. Like, any Knight list can always just lose a game because, oops, I failed my saves when I wasn't
Or we
supposed
went
to.
second against a crazy shooting.
Yeah, terrible matchups. There's no hiding. There's no movement tricks. You put your stats out there, and they see if they can beat your stats.
Yeah. Nick has had it twice where a Knight survived with 1 wound, then acted at full profile and blew up in his lines. But that's a huge swing.
Yeah, but it's not easy to beat the Knight stats. Like, they're actually, the triple materialist is really, really powerful. So definitely something you want to keep in mind seriously when you're prepping for your tournaments.
Where can we see the top super chatters? That is in my brain, but really in the YouTube analytics. Both mats are probably around $100 donated this month. Between that 80 and 100.
Is there a way we can display it?
I have to look at. There was an easy way with Twitch, and I had that one, but YouTube doesn't. It leaves it in a secret place.
Secret
doesn't make it
place.
public.
Can we
see if
add
I
it
can.
to our overlay? Is that a thing?
So I have to see if the YouTube has a method for doing it. Right now, it's just hidden, and I don't think there's any way to make it public. But I'll look it up, see if we can do it. But otherwise, I'll for the next paint stream next week, I'll have the list of who's leading.
Oh yeah.
What do you think is the best form of Harlequins these days? Big punchy troop squads, MSU punchy troops and boats, primary scoring soaring spike, mixed Eldari. Best Harlequins, Nick.
I think it's Dark Eldar was standing because they're about to rock up the whole Eldari faction. But Harlequins, I think just Soaring Spite, maybe Soaring Spite and Frozen Stars mix. Probably 3 Skyweavers, even if it's just a couple 2-mans, just because they're really good utility. I like 1 to 2 large units. I like 2-mans. Anything in there. And then divide the rest by 5 men in a boat.
Okay.
Make sure you take while we stands. Build for those.
Okay, I see the issue down there. And that's because we're streaming on Vimeo, so we're streaming both to the War Room directly and to the and to YouTube. So it doesn't create all the extras beforehand for us. But if you go to any of our normal YouTube videos, any of the match streams, you'll see all the links down there for our sponsors. If a unit charges a cannonist with plasma pistol and she overwatches, supercharges, uses a miracle dice to blow up, do you fail the charge?
Yes.
Or is it a multi-charge?
You fail your charge, and that's a dirty, dirty little trick that I love pulling off.
And you bring her back.
Then you bring her
Can
back.
you bring her back with that?
At the end of the phase.
It doesn't matter what she dies from?
She died.
Okay, I didn't know if it was from an enemy attack or something.
It's going to cost you 2 CP and minimum 2 miracle dice to do this whole play. But yeah, you could do all that.
Yep. And you got to have the plasma pistol on her.
Yeah. Honestly, that's... I stopped taking the plasma pistol on her because you can actually spend 5 points in Sisters on anything. But that's actually not a bad thing. John and I have talked about it. John likes it more than I do because John loves gotcha plays like that. I will tell my opponent that I can roll a 1, then he might just not declare my cannonist, and that's the way I play, so I don't take the plasma pistol. Because when I tell my opponent, then they just don't declare me.
Do you think a Technomancer is worth it when playing a Wraith spam list? I think so. I think it is worth it to get the +1 attack, potentially +1 to hit when the Technomancer gets close. But really, you're taking it for the overcharger, and that's especially true if you're taking also like 27 Scarabs. You might as well bring the Technomancer in there. But, I mean, it sucks that the Technomancer is slower if you get the +1 to hit. It would be really nice if you had that flag move to help get up with the Wraiths.
All right, Mr. Siegs. 30 Death Watch. Bodies assembled. Arms waiting for John to 9 ties them all. That's what I decided is happening.
All right. Excellent. I love to hear it.
Right.
John's going to love to hear it as well.
Gonna get some Terminator heads for these dudes. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We have a lot of cool content coming up. Not only tomorrow, which is back-to-back games. Nick Nanavati is playing Seer Council into John's Tyranids. That's a sub-match for Clown Mode.
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
the top super chat from last month. Then in the War Room, I'm going to be playing Imperium Soup, Custodes Guard with, against John's Slanesh list.
Yeah, should be a really good one.
And then next week, we're going to have a full schedule of stuff. We are going to have Jukari.
Hot Elder Party.
Jukari versus Admech, Jukari versus Knights, Jukari versus Death Guard. All of it's going to be happening. We're going to be doing all the new rules, and we're going to be doing clinics in the War Room on each and every one of those faction getting rules. So it's super exciting. Hope to see you there. And thank you so much for spending time with us.
Bye, everyone.